Oh yeah, whoa. Look, they can never keep me down, I'm going. And if I ever fail, just know I'll go again. I never quit, cause I know that every loss may lead to another win. I'm going up.
What is going on, everyone? Episode 31 of Lock and Talk Live. It is our Monday show where we talk about San Antonio, Austin, and DFW schools. Talk about some of the games. We got some great ones in the DFW area for sure that we have to get to. Some would say upsets, some would say statement wins. We'll get into it all. But before we do that, as always, I have to bring in my co-host for the shows, starting off with the one and only Scotty T. Scotty, how you doing today, man?
Man, Josh, doing good. Happy Monday to everybody out there. Hope you're having a great start to your week just after the 12 o'clock hour here on Monday. Man, doing good. Ton of breakdown across the entire state of Texas. Some really good games, some statement games, as you mentioned, up in DFW. So I think it's only fitting that we turn to our DFW writer, Shanna Williford. What's up, Shanna?
Doing good. Ready to talk about last week's game, some pretty big ones. Like I said on Friday, if Thursday was indicative of the rest of the week, it was going to be great, and it was.
Yeah, and man, we got some games to talk about. Before, I always do this. I do this every Monday. Before we talk about high school, let's talk about some of the college and pros. Scotty, did Baylor play? And if they did they win? I should know this. I'm part of the Big 12, but not really paying attention to Baylor too much. Did they play this week?
We did. The Baylor Bears played Kansas. So we started off Big 12 play 1-0. So, hey, that's all I can say right now. Baylor's 3-0 on the season, undefeated. Got a tough matchup this week against Iowa State at home. So that would be our first true test of the season. Second year under Coach Dave Aranda. Team's looking better. That's all you can ask for. First year was almost kind of a wash with last year with COVID and all that other jazz. So pretty pumped. Baylor's 3-0. Can't complain.
Yeah, Texas, of course, rebounded after that horrible loss last week, although you really didn't learn anything. I mean, it's great that they won, and they won convincingly, but you can't really learn anything from a game like that against Rice. Their first, I guess, true test to see how they can rebound comes this coming week against Texas Tech, so that will be a good one. Casey Thompson seems to have solidified himself as the starter for now at least. So we'll see how that goes. And then, hey, got that Cowboys blue on today. Cowboys coming up with that win against the Chargers yesterday. 14 points in the first quarter and then kind of struggled the rest of the way to get points, but their defense held. They got turnovers when they needed to, got that win. Texans, I don't want to say they fell back down to earth because Tyrod Taylor once again goes down with injury. I feel so sorry for this guy. I mean, you know, he seems to be have that potential, and then just gets the injury bug, if you will. I mean, last year's was just brutal the way it happened, and now this year, and Texans seems to have started the dumpster fire with the loss of Tyrod Taylor. Scott,
might as well just light it on fire, as you mentioned, dumpster fire. I like Tyrod Taylor, especially in the first quarter. He looked good. He just can't stay healthy, unfortunately. The best ability is availability, and hopefully he can get back onto the field soon. But, Josh, I like how you're going full Bubba Watson button up, baby. Going all the way up right there.
Hey, that's how you got to do it. Also, have you noticed anything? You noticed anything a little different?
Nothing new with the set? Or, hold on, yeah, keep the camera on you. Little fresh cut?
Yeah.
Whoa! Dude,
maybe the mic was
shortest your beer's been?
Probably in a few years, I would say. It's been a little while since it's been this short. It was almost this short for my wedding, but there was still a little length to the bottom. So I decided it's time for a little bit of a change, And hey, maybe it paid off. Maybe that's the good luck charm. I'm gonna have to keep my beard short for the rest of the season and see how the Cowboys do, since they did pull off that.
Correlation does not equal causation,
but.
I'm just saying.
But in sports, correlation always is causation in sports.
That's right.
Oh man. Well, let's talk about some high school sports here, and let's start in the DFW area. We had really two big games that we really have to mention. There's some more obviously, but I think the two big ones: Tascina and Denton Ryan getting the win, and then Highland Park and Rockwall. Highland Park getting that impressive win over Rockwall. Shane, I want to turn it over to you. Just talk about these two games and what it means for all the teams involved.
So I was on the ground at Rockwall versus Highland Park, and the atmosphere was absolutely insane. You would have thought this was a playoff game for sure. It was evenly killed for, the first quarter through the second quarter. Where you really saw change, though, was in the second quarter. There were a couple of crazy plays. You had Rockwall's Caden Robinson pick off Brennan Storr and return it for an 8-yard touchdown. And it was immediately followed by an 89-yard kickoff return for a touchdown by Highland Park's John Rutledge. That's where momentum shifted. Yes, they went into halftime tied. Yes, Rockwall came out of halftime strong, but you slowly saw them fall apart. There was an injury on their offensive line. I don't know who it was, but that might have also played a key role because it did look a lot like Braden Locke was taking on a lot more work than usual, probably because he was a little less protected. Then we have the Denton Geyer Atascocita game. Because I was at the Rockwall game, I didn't quite catch a lot of the live action, but I did keep checking in on it. And I tell you, Jackson Arnold, from what I saw, completed 70% of his passes. That is absolutely insane. And Atascocita had far more yards than Denton Geyer, and it would have been a really good game to be at. I have no doubts. I think Denton Geyer's defense played a major role in this, and they came out the gate, didn't even look back.
Yeah, I want to jump back to that Rockwall Highland Park game real quick. I think you bring up a good point about, hey, if your starting offensive line goes down, or a lineman, not just line, but linemen, that's going to affect you. I mean, it affects teams at the NFL level where you can sign people, right? You can basically pick and choose who you want. That's going to be even more so at the high school level where, hey, the only people that can play for you are the people that go to your school. So having a starting offensive lineman go down at the high school level is definitely a cause for concern for teams. But definitely a statement win there by Highland Park. I mean, we saw what South Lake Carroll did to them. Now Rockwall, they're going to have to really, just regroup and really quickly because, things aren't going to get easier. I think this week is Rockwall versus Rockwall Heath, is it not, Shayna? So
yes,
yeah. So I mean, they don't really have time. They're going to have to really have a fire lit under them and come out strong because this one, I could see Highland Park winning, but I think it was how they won at the end with a kind of convincing second half. And then Denton Geyer at Atascocita, it seemed like every time Denton Geyer or Atascocita would get close, or even, I think they at one point tied in the second half. Every time basically Atascocita would score, Denton Geyer would answer, and eventually just became too much for Atascocita. I want to bring in I don't want to call him the Houston guru, but the Houston man that knows some things about Houston. Scott, let's talk about this Atascocita Denton Geyer game. I know Matt and Josh weren't really high on Denton Geyer. They looked at that 14-7 game against Denton Ryan, which Denton Ryan has a good defense, by the way. And, they kind of poo-pooed, Denton Geyer and didn't think this was going to be very much of a contest. But they were wrong. Let's talk about this game, Scott.
Yeah, with how close they, I predicted Denton Geyer to win. So credit to me, I guess. I was the only person who predicted Denton Geyer to win. So what's up, everybody? That might have been the only game that I got correct last week. But it was still close, though. When Atascocita went up to Allen and beat them, it got away from Allen. Atascocita put a beating on him, but for Atascocita to go up to the Metroplex not once but twice, play one of the better teams, and Denton Geyer, and Denton Geyer's already put everybody on notice by beating Denton Ryan earlier in the year. But it was a high-scoring affair. But Denton Geyer got the stops when they needed to, and yes, this officially, quote-unquote, puts Denton Geyer in the state championship conversation, which they probably were already. But you also, I was really impressed with the Atascocita because it's not easy to travel up to the Metroplex twice, play some of the two premier top 5-6 programs in the Metroplex, and take that team down to the wire 2 weeks after Allen. So big takeaways here are Atascocita is for real. Atascocita still has a tough road ahead of them. Until in Region 3, 6A, North Shore is the top dogs. They play in the same district as North Shore. So if I'm North Shore, I'm paying attention. North Shore's already had a loss on the season. So in Westfield. So that's Tascasita and North Shore. Those are probably some of the two of the favorites to come out of Region 3 6A.
Yeah, and look, I think there were a lot of questions with Denton Geyer going in to the season, especially with a quarterback and everything. But I think they've shown that it's one of those kind of systems where, hey, the quarterback was ready. You can plug in the quarterback, and kind of just go, just like South Lake Carroll is doing, for instance. So I think Denton Geyer has put people on notice. Shayna, I think you can agree to that and let people know that hey. Denton Geyer's for real, are they not, Shayna?
They are, and they really always have been. I think that this is going to be a big season for them. And you got to give them credit. They played a really great game against Atascocita, but how much of you wonders it's the Malatesta formula and they stopped at Buc-ee's and had too much sugar.
Yes, the Malatesta formula could have played an effect with Atascocita. So it will be interesting to see what they can do. Scott, I don't know if you know this. Does Atascocita's district start this week, or do they have a few more weeks before their district starts? Do you know that?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. It either starts this week, next week. A lot of teams do start district play this week, and that's why, at least in the Houston area, there are actually a lot of teams who have their bye weeks this week in week 4. So we're ramping up for district play here. We've joked that the off season, your non-district games really don't matter. Those teams who are 3-0 but maybe aren't favored in their district, it's time because playoff standings are determined by your district standings and playoff seeding. So that's like now, okay, you have a few weeks. You know where your team's about. You know what you're good at. You know where you need to improve. It's crunch time. It's go time, baby. It's district play.
And to answer my own question that I asked you, Atascocita does start district this Friday against Humble. So their bye week won't be until the week
they
before.
Should win.
Which they get the bye week at them for the right time. Their bye week is the week before North Shore, so that's a good time to have their bye week. So let's move on to some San Antonio schools. I know this isn't maybe y'all's area.
I want to give a couple of shout outs here in the Metroplex. Duncanville beating DeSoto 42-41. I would say a statement game by Duncanville beating DeSoto the way they did. And then in the private school realm, you weren't ready for some private school, but I got to show the private school some up here. Trinity Christian Academy in Addison, TCA, taking it to Dallas Christian 46-26. Big win for TCA Trojans.
I mean, that is a big game because, I mean, as we know, Dallas Christian was they lost the state championship in heartbreaking fashion last year. Shayna, big statement win,
TCA,
right?
Yeah, so TCA, there's still a 6A school in all the other sports except for football. It's kind of confusing, but TCA is playing in a little watered-down schedule. But Dallas Christian is one of the schools that they were able to schedule and who would really challenge them. And the fact that they beat Dallas Christian, I think, is huge for the TCA program, who's really trying to bounce back and make a comeback.
Shayna, do you agree to that?
Oh, absolutely. I think a lot of the mindset at TCA is they are, they're kind of tired of the naysayers. You get a lot of people who really don't believe in TCA. They've had a couple of rough seasons, but I think especially winning this week was a huge statement when it was saying, look, we're here to play, and we can keep up with the best of them. Yeah,
and I think, definitely a statement win, and we'll see how they do the rest of the season. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on TCA. Let's move on to the Austin San Antonio area, and me and Scott, me and you, I think, and Shayna, you as well. We talked briefly about this game on Friday, but one of the big upsets to me is that Judson lost to New Braunfels on Thursday. It's 24-21. New Braunfels kicked a field goal with about 4 seconds remaining to win that game. And Judson, after that week 1 win versus DeSoto, has really fallen off a little bit. I mean, they've lost to
Was it New Braunfels or New Braunfels Canyon?
No, it was New Braunfels. It was the Unicorns. New Braunfels. Wow. Yeah, so New Braunfels is now undefeated to start the year. We'll get to Canyon in a minute, by the way. But 4-0 to start the season. And Now, I'm not saying this is state title worthy or whatever, because if you look at some of the opponents they've played, they barely beat a San Marcos squad that just got squashed by Lake Travis. And you know, I love San Marcos, so I got to show them the love. You know, Coach Walsh or San Marcos will tell you, like, hey, Lake Travis is battling for state titles right now. San Marcos is battling to make the playoffs. So it's one of those things where two different programs and stuff. So, you know, these results were kind of expected. You know, now not to say that they didn't hope that they couldn't win that game, but you know, when your program is kind of rebuilding still, you can't always hope to be the world beaters, if you will. So, but New Braunfels definitely want to take a look at it. District 27 6A just got a whole lot interesting with that result. So that's one I want to talk about. You know, you mentioned New Braunfels Canyon, Scott, and I think we all kind of said this was going to be a cakewalk for Dripping Springs. They won that game. Dripping Springs won that game in overtime. They had to go to overtime to win that game. So New Braunfels definitely showed up and almost got that win there. Dripping Springs had to have overtime to beat them. So
hey, you know what? Sometimes maybe the team just isn't chilling that day. Maybe he had a bad week of practice or something like that. Or maybe on the flip side, Canyon, they came out firing. Maybe they circled that game and be like, hey, if we're going to turn our season around, this is it. But look, if you're Dripping Springs, you survive in advance. You're 4-0. You move on next week. Every week, you got to go 1-0 every single week.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and you know, games like that are good for teams that, you know, are undefeated or, you know, expecting to do big things, because now it gives coaches and even the players, but you know, the coaches that kind of tool, if you will, to be like, look, you can't just hang your hat on your talents, right? Any team can come in and beat you in any given week if the right circumstances exist. So, you know, I think even though they won a close game, it's going to be good for them because they're going to be able to grow from that. You know, if they're coached right, and I think they are. So I think it's a good win, even though it was a close win for them that many people thought that wouldn't be close, including us. Brennan, the San Antonio team, 4-0 with a convincing win over Warren. Not to start district. That's their second game. So because Brennan is in a bigger district, Brennan's continue rolling, and Brennan has impressed me all season long. They're probably the team to beat in the San Antonio area at this point, with probably Smithson Valley right behind them, but the team to beat there. And those are kind of my. Oh, I got one more. We talked about this one a little bit Friday, but Austin LBJ went and played a 5A school in Liberty Hill, and they won on Thursday, 41-34. A couple of really good plays on those, which are part of our plays of the week. So definitely go check those out if you haven't yet. But this Jags team, like once they lost last year to Lindale, I thought they had a good chance to win it all last year, and they lost to Lindale. My eyes are on them for the rest of the season. They had to replace a lot of talent on offense, so that's going to be something to look at as the season progresses into the playoffs. But my eyes are on this school, and I think there's a team in Austin below like the 6A level that can win it all. It's Austin LBJ. What do you think, Scott?
Yeah, I mean, beating Liberty Hill. Liberty Hill is perennial power, I would say. Different offense than most. I think that what separates them is that Liberty Hill, they don't run a spread. They don't even run anything really traditional. It's kind of more your wishbone, veer type offense. And so it can catch teams off guard. And so whenever you can go out and get a win like that, especially for Austin LBJ, that's awesome. That's the confidence booster that you need that can propel you for the rest of the season. So also on the flip side, though, if you're Liberty Hill, not too much. I wouldn't be too worried. Austin LBJ is a good team. You know, if you're Liberty Hill, you went to the state championship game and for it. Okay, you can move up to 5A, and then you lose in the state semifinals against Crosby, right, in a heartbreaking fashion. So I think Liberty Hill probably even puts that much more of a chip on their shoulder, to be honest, that be like, hey, you know what, they want to get back to that state championship game and play for a state championship, and most importantly, get that ring. So I think this could be the catalyst for them.
Yeah, and look, I mean, the slot T isn't going to always lead to undefeated seasons. So, you know, if you live and die by the slot T, there's going to be games where, you know.
It's all about ball control. And
exactly.
If you don't have the ball control, you're not controlling the clock. We talked about it last time. You want to get teams playing your game, especially if you're Liberty Hill. maybe they just weren't able to do that. I haven't seen any of the games, so I'm not sure what the flow was looking like, but that would be my guess. Maybe Liberty Hill got out of doing what they do best. And whenever they control the game, control the clock, do what they do best, they're tough to beat.
Yeah, it was a 41-34 victory. So, obviously Austin LBJ's defense stepped up when it counted to make the stops it needed to stop. But I'm impressed with their non-district schedule so far and who they've beaten. So definitely going to be keeping an eye on Austin LBJ for the rest of the season. Before we move on to our favorite segment of the show, I'd be remiss if I didn't come back to Shayna to talk about probably one of the great ways to end a game in Dallas with McKinney Boyd versus Byron Nelson, where Byron Nelson, they tie up, if I'm not mistaken, they tie up the game, and they're going to kick that extra point to take the lead. And the snapper, he muffs the snap, tries to recorral it, ends up fumbling it, and McKinney Boyd picks it up and runs it all the way back to take that 2-point lead and end up winning the game. Shayna, I know that was a Thursday game, so I don't know if you were there, but I'm sure you probably watched it. Talk to us about that game, just how crazy of an ending that was.
I mean, it was nuts. I will say so many people, absolutely so many people, I would say almost everybody picked Byron Nelson as a favorite for that game. You thought Byron Nelson, they're strong, they're going to take this, and they did. They had a really great game. Like, you can't discredit them at all. One bad snap isn't indicative of the entire team. But Evan Dennis really, he became hometown hero on Thursday night, running that back, winning the game. McKinney Boyd, it's their first 4-0 start in school history. It's a big deal for them.
Yeah, that play is, of course, one of our plays of the week. So voting will start at 1 today for those plays of the week. So go and vote who you would like to be to have win the play of the week. But it is now time for our favorite segment of the show. Scotty, you know what that is. It's time for Who's That Mascot. For those of you that are watching for the first time, Who's That Mascot is a game where I give Scott a name of a school, and he has to tell me the mascot of that school. He does fairly well overall. If we're talking baseball, he's right there at that 0.3 kind of margin. So he's had some good weeks.
If we're talking baseball, I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm 1 for 3. That's a 333 average, baby. I'm a Hall of Famer. That's what we're saying.
There you go. And we got Shayna on. So you know what? If you absolutely don't know, I need some help. I'll give Shayna the chance to come on and help. All right, Scotty. Are you ready? Are you ready for your first one?
Let's do it. I'm ready.
This team played in the state semifinals of baseball this year. It is Amarillo. Amarillo.
Oh man, I don't want to get these confused.
I'll give you a few more.
On a limb here.
I'm going to give you a few more information about this game. All right, so this was against Barbara.
Wait, I got it.
Okay.
I got it. The Sandies.
Amarillo Sandies. Final answer.
Final answer.
Correct. They played Barbers Hill in the state semis, and that game was wild. They scored 7 runs in the top of the first. That inning was like an hour long, and it was.
I'm gonna take a screenshot.
New Twitter header.
Yeah, new profile pic.
Looks like we are connected. I don't know. Oh, there we go. Looks like we might be back. It's going to be a little, Yeah. So let's go ahead and continue. It looks like I did what I had to do. So we are back. Let's get to our next one here. And we are going. This one, of course, you should know, is Spring Woods.
I do know this one. We got the Spring Woods Tigers.
Spring Woods Tigers. Is that your final answer?
Yes. Finally, you're making me question myself, but yes.
Correct. It is the Spring Woods Tigers. That one we should get, right? They are a campus client for us, so you should get that one. And you did. So let's move on to our last one. Scott, I don't think you've ever gone 3 for 3 before, have you? Have you gone 3? I don't think you have.
I've not gone 3 for 3.
Well,
this could be history in the making, everybody.
Well, let's see. I'll say this is a 3A school. They actually won state in baseball, just keeping in the baseball realm, in 2019. They're a pretty good football team as well. So, of course, Shayna might know this one. So again, she can help you out. It is Wall. In the San Angelo area. Wall.
I'm
Shayna.
gonna say the Wall Warriors.
Shayna,
I need some help.
Ooh.
do you have
I
any
think it's the
insight?
Wall Hawks, isn't it?
It's up to you, Scott.
The Hawks.
All right. So Shayna thinks it's the Hawks, Scott. And now it's your turn to do you go with her with the phone a friend here, or do you stick with the Warriors? What do you got?
I'm phoning a friend. I'm going the Wall Hawks.
Wall
Come
Hawks.
on, team effort here.
Final answer?
Final answer.
Correct. It is the Wall Hawks. First 3 for 3
Booyah!
for Scotty. Congratulations. Good job, man. Let's move on before hopefully.
I'm so jacked right now. I'm so jacked.
As soon as you said
coming
Warriors, I
in.
was like,
Yes.
no.
The phone a friend. Come on.
Well, let's go to our final segment of the show, and that, of course, is One Good Thing. Let me get that Wall Hawks off the screen there. One Good Thing, of course, is a segment where we go ahead and tell you one good thing that's happened this past week. Scotty, let's start with you. Give us that one good thing.
So I saw this on Twitter this morning, and I thought it was amazing. And I'm going to pull it up real quick so I can make sure I get this correct. Let's see. It's from the Dodgers and Cincinnati Reds game this last week. Not sure if you've seen it, but there was this guy named, I'm going to butcher this name, TJ Friedel, hit his first career home run at the stadium where the Reds play. And Mookie Betts, who plays right field for the Dodgers, flagged the fan down who got his ball, and the fan who caught the home run ball threw the ball back. And so Mookie Betts got the ball back for this Reds rookie who hit his first Major League home run so that he could keep it as a namesake. That's really cool. But then what Mookie Betts did was that he went back out there in the next half inning and gave that fan a signed baseball bat by Mookie Betts. That's awesome. And then even the fan that was there, he let this probably 8-10-year-old kid in a Dodgers uniform take a picture with the signed Mookie Betts bat. That is just so cool. It's who says you can't be romantic about baseball, right? It's so that's awesome. Great for Mookie Betts to get that ball down and then follow through with this fan. I mean, credit to the fan. It was just a great situation all the way across the board.
Shayna, let's jump into you. What's one good thing that's happened to you in the last week? Or something you follow, whatever. Just one good thing you saw.
This is kind of, a bittersweet good thing. The legendary Jimmy Greaves passed away. And just seeing all of the support and the memories of his time with Chelsea and England soccer, it was just something special. He's an absolute legend, and he will go down as such, the best scorer ever, in my opinion. So I think seeing all of the memories and the tributes roll in was a really, really nice thing.
And then there was me. I'm going to stick with soccer, but a different kind of soccer here. I know we've talked about this a handful of times, Scott, but it's just got to be worth repeating that Ted Lasso is one of the greatest shows in recent memory to have been put out on TV. I mean, it's not about drama. It's not about putting people down. It's just a nice, good show that has developed their characters. Like a lot of people this season, I think we even talked about this before, said, this season's kind of drop off. But the way they've progressed this season has been tremendous. I mean, this last episode, if you haven't watched, didn't even have Ted Lasso in it. So if you haven't watched it, definitely go check it out. Such a great TV series, and I hope we get at least 2 or 3 more years of it before it goes. And last week, Jason Sudeikis and the actress, I have to look up her name, that plays the owner of the team. Let me see if I can get her name real quick.
Rebecca. Her character name is Rebecca.
So Hannah Waddingham. I know they both won Emmys last night. I think Brett Goldstein did as well. So congratulations to them. Brett Goldstein, of course, is Roy Kent. So just love that show. Such a great show. Don't you agree, Scott?
He's here, he's there, he's everywhere. Roy Kent, Roy Kent.
There you go.
I can't say what they actually say, but
yeah, there's some F-bombs in there. But hey, that is our show for today. Scotty, I know you like to plug our socials. Where can people go if they want to get more of this good content?
Just type VYPE anywhere. You'll find us there on Twitter at VYPE Houston, at VYPE DFW. Shayna is crushing it up there. Same with Instagram at VYPE Houston, at VYPE DFW. On Facebook, we are at VYPE Texas. And there's also the VYPE DFW page that Shayna's doing a good job of keeping up with. Go check out the website, VYPE.com. Click that subscribe button to the YouTube channel. I'll be uploading the podcast version too, so you can find the podcast version there. Tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, Josh, Houston breakdown with, not sure who's going to be on the show yet, but it could be me, it could be Matt and Josh, some of our Houston writers. There's a ton of good Houston stuff. I almost went on a rant about it, but I'm glad we didn't because we're saving it for tomorrow. So tune in around 12 o'clock tomorrow.
There you go. Shayna, any good things you got to tease us about what we can expect on VYPE DFW this week?
Yeah, I have a lot of cool interviews coming out. I just pushed out one on a Rockwall Heath player. I have one coming out with a volleyball player. It's going to be a good week for content-wise. Be sure you stay tuned in the Dallas-Fort Worth area.
And, of course, tomorrow we will have the VYPE Austin, San Antonio, and DFW volleyball and football rankings coming out. Be sure to check those out. And then we'll have picks coming up and previews coming up. And, of course, we'll be here plenty this week, Tuesday at noon, Wednesday 10, noon, and 6, Thursday at noon, and Friday at noon. So come back and join us for some more high school sports talk in the state of Texas. Until then, I'm Wack. That's been Scotty and Shayna. And this has been Locker Talk Live.